But you bring up Kamala Harris. I will raise you one and go full Joe Biden. Did you see that there's this breaking story? Project Veritas caught David Hogg saying Anthony Bernal, Jill Biden's chief of staff, was the power in the White House. You're not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that because we've been covering this honestly. But why are we even pretending on the left? What is their motivation in pretending that they genuinely missed Biden's story in real time in good faith and they're just getting around to figuring it out now? Isn't that just like a play?
Well, I want to go back to you bringing up David Hogg. If David Hogg is more in the know about what went on in the White House than the average American, we are in big trouble. Number one. Also, they knocked him off of his spot because there wasn't enough gender balance. So I feel bad for the poor kid. I don't know why he didn't just identify as something else, but apparently that's not his style. Listen, so we've been talking about Joe Biden's decline since pre-2020, right? So the fact that they are just now catching on to this, you're either lying or you're stupid or both, but there is no way around it. And I firmly believe they say, oh, we just want to move forward. I don't believe that there can be a Democrat leader that has touched the big lie. So if you want to lead the Democrat Party, you had to have been born like yesterday. So it's going to take a while, right? But anybody who was around to witness it that didn't say something, I'm sorry, you have zero credibility. You should bow out now. You have no hope. You have no prayer.
Wow. Tomi Lahren on the line says if you want to lead the Democratic Party, you need to be born yesterday. So that makes Bill Belichick the front runner, his girlfriend for 2028. Did you just tell me Jordan Hudson is the odds-on favorite?
She's even too old to be a front runner for the Democrat because she had experience. She was old enough to vote at that time. We don't have a political affiliation, but I'm telling you, it has to be someone fresh birthed like yesterday. So because anybody that was around or coherent, Joe wasn't even coherent, but anybody else that doesn't have the excuse that Joe has, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear from you because you were part of the cover-up, part of the lie.
Amen. Give me this one on Tapper. They're all trying to say, hey, we should have covered this better, but in hindsight, he had advanced dementia or cognitive decline. But I still don't believe that they've left their activist lane, meaning their effort to protect the Democratic Party is still ongoing, because if they genuinely now believe he has dementia and they're willing to admit that, shouldn't they be trying to get to the bottom of the auto pen and the pardons that were probably sold?
Yeah, they don't want any accountability. They just want to feel like they've done something, which is typical for those on the left or in leftist media. And again, this whole thing of, oh, maybe we should have been reporting this, or maybe we should have caught on sooner, but the administration lied to us. All of this is a giant excuse. You're selling books now. So you're making a half-hearted apology. But still, if you're a journalist, for as long as Jake Tapper claims to have been a journalist, and you never sussed this out before, even if you've written a book and now you're having your come to Jesus moment, that's still not the reckoning you deserve. And all of these people, not only should they not lead the Democrat Party, they shouldn't be in media anymore. You've already lied to us. So we're done with you. They're going to need to raise a whole new crop of journalists on top of their new crop of Democrat leaders. They're going to have to, go to the daycare center at this point.
That's funny. Tomi Lahren is clearing house. Did Macron's wife punch him in the face? Yes or no?
I don't know if there's any way to spin that. Now, listen, as somebody who is married, who, I would never physically assault my husband, but there have been times that I've thought about it. I think it's pretty obvious that he pissed her off. And unfortunately, she did it at a moment where international news media was watching. So instead of the play fighting thing, I've never play fought my husband with a hand right to the middle of his face before. But I guess that's a good save if you're them.
I love you had to turn to the camera and be like, oh, hey, hi, guys. Such a loser. But I think that's the biggest problem the world faces right now is there's a lack of real leaders out there. That's the Democrat problem. There is no leader. It's a lot of people that are hiring pollsters and focus groups. I know you saw the study where they're spending $20 million to do a better job of connecting with men. But I think they have the same problem with men they have with everybody, which is none of their policies have any support. And isn't that the larger issue? I think they try to make it identity specific, but I don't know of any identity that thinks like men should compete against women or the border should be open or that we should be giving Social Security to dead people. There's a lot of things they've fought for, or the migrants. You talked about this, the congressman going down to El Salvador to grandstand outside of prison. Who the hell is sitting at like a dinner table right now in Wapakoneta, Ohio going, if only we had a congressman that had margaritas with a migrant gangbanger. So haven't they just lost it from a policy standpoint, not an identity standpoint?
Now that Democrats, they were given an out with the Kilmar Abrego Garcia thing, right? Like they had an opportunity as the weeks kind of pass that they could have let that go. Like they could have, we forgive, we forget. Okay, we're not going to make this an issue anymore. But no, they're still going to El Salvador. I am convinced, and I tweeted it last night, I X'd it, whatever, that they want to kill their party. I think they want their party to be over because at this point, if you're still going to El Salvador to break out criminal illegal aliens who are El Salvadoran citizens, you must want to kill your party. I'm convinced that this is an inside operation to dead the party.
Hold on, then I have an angle. We're talking to the great Tomi Lahren. Do you remember Sri Thanadar, the guy who impeached Trump like 2 weeks ago or said he was going to? Maybe that guy's trying to revive the Whig Party. You've seen his hair.
I have seen his hair. He's an interesting fella, and he's not the only one. Wasn't that Congressman Green who he also wants to impeach Trump? He had to stand, but of course the joint address and be hauled out. All of these people are competing to be on reality television. They don't want to be political leaders. They want to be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Whoa. Okay. You would watch that. Hold on. You would watch that. You love the Real Housewives.
I would rather watch them there. I would watch, Jimmy, I would watch Jasmine Crockett on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I would watch that.
Yes, all day.
I prefer it to her current position.
Amen. And you know who else could be on your Real Housewives episode? Your girl, Brigitte Macron. She throws a mean right hand. So
again, casting opportunities galore for Bravo, for VH1, that they're not taking advantage of. So this is their free advice to the executives over there. Pay attention, NBC, Comcast, whatever you are. There's an opportunity. Fulfill it and save the country while you're at it.
This is your best advice segment yet, that the Democratic Party is basically casting for Bravo and they don't realize it. I love that so much. I love this. And yes, Bill Belichick can come in with Jordan Hudson for an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras, and we've got ourselves a winning primetime lineup. You might not have saved the Democratic Party, but you might have saved Bravo, Tommy.
There's a lot of questions that we still have about the Bill Belichick thing, but I have a hard time feeling sorry for the guy because, you're not of diminished capacity as Joe Biden was. You're not under duress. This is a conscious choice that you are making, and it's a bad one. But listen, you got to live and you got to learn here. I want to know if they're engaged. I want to know if there's a prenup. And I want to know also, this is a legal question, which you and I are not qualified to answer, but if he passes away, what is the enforcement behind the prenup, right? Like, does she still get something? Because she could stick this out for a while and she could still get paid. So again, I have a lot of questions.
She's trying to get that money, girl. Yeah, he's probably going to sign he's going to sign a marriage certificate with an auto pen. And they're going to hustle this whole thing. Wow, you've really sometimes I bring you on to make me less conspiratorial and crazy, but you really took it somewhere else. I should have stuck to the Mets today. You're the best.
And next time we have a conversation, I want to bring up the kangaroo that was denied access to the airplane as an emotional support animal. And it was sitting there much better behaved than half of the kids I've flown with in the last 6 months. So I want to know why people's feral children are allowed and the kangaroo was not.
Well, there went your shot of being CEO of Southwest Airlines. I don't know. We'll work on this till next time. Tommy, great hit. We'll see you soon, babe.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're the best.